Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. My last show before Vegas.
Yeah.
You might have one more left in you, right? Before Vegas?
Yeah, I'll be here Monday.
Yeah. It is a Friday where, like, I need football, and I'm going to get football this weekend. Just not...
You get football tonight?
You get football tonight. That's right. I want some Aggie football.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wait a week for that. But I'm looking forward to what this weekend could be.
In football?
In football. I'm looking forward to seeing upsets. I'm looking forward to seeing, like...
Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many upsets do you think? What upsets do you think you might see?
Well,
I think you might see one tonight.
Before we get to that, let me tell you what we're doing. We're going to do 3 things that we want to see this weekend, and that's because we're running our mouths thanks to the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store, where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. So, yeah, one of the things I want to see is I want to see some upsets.
Okay.
Which is the game tonight?
I think tonight is it not
Indiana Notre Dame.
Yeah, I would have gotten there, thanks. Indiana at Notre Dame.
Hey, I'm David, by the way. Nice to see you.
It's David Nuño.
And he's
everybody knows who David Nuño is.
No, I don't know about everybody. At least 9 people. But I started off thinking Notre Dame was going to destroy Indiana. And I keep reading things that people are like, yeah, Indiana may have not played anybody, but who did Notre Dame play?
Exactly.
A&M.
And won, but should have lost.
Yep.
Could have lost. Easily could have lost. I think that's an intriguing matchup. I think most people would just pick Notre Dame to win based on history.
Right.
But I don't know.
No. Other 2 things I want to see this weekend. I want to see Aggie basketball continue their win streak.
Yeah, I think
I think
pretty good
I feel
shape.
pretty good about it. But I want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's today at 1 o'clock, I believe.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And the other thing I want to see is the Texans beat Kansas City, which is something that doesn't come very often for the Texans.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I want to see it. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
Well, is Mahomes playing? I heard that
I think he will play.
Might not be.
I think he'll play.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew he was a little banged up, and he's not the only one banged up. Texans' offensive line is terrible.
Well, I want to see, how about this? I want to see 3 things. I want to see Indiana win.
Yeah.
I want to see Tennessee beat Ohio State. And I'd like to see
you say you want the upsets, right?
Clemson beat Texas. I'd love to see SMU. I'll give you a bonus. I'd like to see SMU beat Penn State.
So all the upsets.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
That would be a great weekend.
Yeah.
I really like the one.
Because there's a lot of teams in it that I don't really like.
And you don't hate Clemson, right?
I don't hate Clemson. I got annoyed with Clemson.
That's okay.
They had that period of great success, and their Clemson fan base turned into Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they got the new money, like they won the lottery and started to act like they were like a genius in the stock market.
Right.
No, you just got lucky, all right? And now they're coming. I'll put it this way: if Clemson was playing probably anybody else,
you'd be rooting for them to
rooting
lose.
against them.
Yeah. But look, I don't think they're very good. I just don't.
I don't either.
And I do think Texas is good.
They are. Texas is a good football team.
I do. I think that. So did you give me 3 things? What'd you give me?
Well, actually, I gave you.
Oh, you gave me a bunch
five,
of different ones. Hey, so I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, but A&M got a commitment yesterday from the Nebraska tight end Nate Borkercher.
If you say so.
Borkercher. That's right? All right. Nick gives me the stamp of approval. Nate Borkercher, entering his senior season, Just a big physical tight end, more to help out on 4th and 1, buddy.
You know, if you can find a tight end that can block, I think they got tight ends that can catch. So if you can find a guy that you'll bring in on 4th down to actually block somebody, you know, that's a positive thing.
How do you gauge A&M's success or lack of success in the transfer portal? Because it's very hard to, I think when you're comparing yourself to others, right? Like, well, this team's got 9 guys, we've got 4 guys, this guy's picked up 6 guys. To me, it's like you have to really look at it when it's all said and done.
I think last year the focus was on quantity. This year, I think the focus is on quality. And last year they tried to just bring in depth as much, and they got started late, and so you took maybe more chances than you would. I think now they're really focusing on need and can this guy make us better? And if you're asking for this tight end from Nebraska to make you better in the passing game, then you're making a mistake. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think he caught like 3 passes last year.
He's there to block.
He's there to block, which, you know, I don't understand that. Why don't you just have a package where you put another lineman in there? But okay, if he's a really good blocker as a tight end, then you got better. And if you need any proof that you need to upgrade, you just go back to those 4th down plays against Texas.
Right.
When you're the end made the tackle on both of them.
You're exactly right. I think when you're assessing how well a team has done, you also need to look at what their wish list was, who they got and who they didn't from that wish list. It's not necessarily what team got the most 5 stars. Who did Coach Elko and company desire, and how do they do when they got those guys to campus? And I think all that will be said and done at the end of this all. And I'm very curious to see who enters the portal at the end of this weekend when teams are officially eliminated.
It seems to me that if they're 2-2, like on receivers, it seems to me I heard about 4 receivers they really like. They're 2-2, and they got 2 of them.
Right.
And 2 of them went to LSU.
Yeah.
You know, a kid from Kentucky, fast kid, and the kid from Oklahoma, Katy via Oklahoma. But I think they're also saying Micah Hudson, Mario Craver.
Maybe the kid from Miami who might be visiting this weekend as well.
I'm saying 2-2 so far.
2-2 so far, yeah. But there's still some other options out there. But I think we will know more.
I like the cornerback from Georgia, of course.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully they can get some defensive linemen.
That's where they need to play some catch up.
And it's all about position of need. If you brought in a running back, why?
I think you could use a running back.
Well, I think you're going to have Le'Veon Moss. I believe you're going to have Amari Daniels unless something changes. You're going to have Reuben Owens. And then you bring in 2 freshmen?
2 freshmen, yeah.
I mean, if you get down to number 6,
you got some problems.
You got some problems.
Yeah, you're right about that. I wanted to focus on, I don't know if you've done any research yet on USC players to kind of identify.
I've been trying to.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because I reached out to a USC writer, and he said, well, we don't know yet.
Right.
So I'm still waiting to hear back.
Well, there's a couple of names that I think expect to see in Las Vegas that we need to watch out for. And one of them is their wide receiver, Makai Lemond. You know much about him?
No.
He led the team in yards this year. He's only a sophomore. He led them in yards in 3 out of the last 5 games, but he led them in total yards with, I think, 633. Versus Notre Dame, 133 yards receiving. Okay. Has 64 and 70-yard touchdown on the year. He can return kicks. And this year, he's kind of like Travis Hunter. On a couple different occasions, he played defense for them. They were thin against UCLA, and he lined up at cornerback, which is something he did in high school.
I guess he should have been a Heisman finalist.
Well, he only did, I think, a game or 2.
That's all you need to do.
But he's not in the portal. As you know, 3 of their top 5 wide receivers are in the portal. But this guy who led them, not in the portal. And he was not as highly regarded as Jeremiah Branch and some of the others on there.
Well, I figure everybody's going to be able to maintain a certain amount of players, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's got some money to spend. You got to spend it somewhere. It's not supposed to be easy. It's going to be easier.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the SEC. Okay.
But this is just a name.
Covering.
Yeah, cover him. Apparently, he's got the big play potential on him. Just the name that you would expect. If they went to him when they were fully loaded, really expected them to go to him often.
Plus, you just said he has the big play potential. And what team has a tendency to give up big plays?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Here's another one for you. You probably know this name, Kamari Ramsey. All right, he is coming back. He will not only play in the bowl game, he's coming back. He's a guy who's got very high potential, one of the top-rated safeties in this draft cycle. He's deciding to come back for another year. Third-year sophomore, transferred from UCLA. He led them with 53 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 5 passes defended, and 2 forced fumbles. Kamari Ramsey should be playing on Sundays soon.
As an opponent, I always like to see the team I'm playing that their leading tackler is a safety. That's always a good sign.
It means you get through.
That means they're making tackles in the secondary.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've seen that here a couple times too.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that. That's why I said
no. We didn't. We didn't like that. Hey, I forgot. This is not the Home and Building Show. This is what is it called?
This is TexAgs Live.
Thank you. And we're presented by
David Gardner's Jewelers.
Currently in this beautiful studio.
Entire studio.
This entire one is called
the Rollo Insurance Studio. Yeah.
But this particular area, this box,
right here, where it's kind of cool.
It's cool.
This is the cool zone.
The holistic planning cool zone,
where they can take care of your investments, taxes, tax time's coming up, and estate plan.
And
you can, among those investments, you can invest in pro sports.
You know, if you wanted to invest in pro sports, a website you could go to.
Tell me that.
Investinprosports.com.
Well, that makes sense. I want to invest in pro sports. I go to investinprosports.com. Even I can figure that out.
You can do that part. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up on the Boss Firearms hotline, 979-693-1150. You can text that same number. We'll possibly read it. It depends if Callie's on our game. We'll see. We're going to put it all on Callie. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. We go behind the glass. We talk to a very busy Nick. I saw Nick on the ground with a tools and fixing things. Not a fork.
There's everything he can do. There's everything. He can do it. He can do it all.
He does it all. And he hosts a show sometimes.
He's a savage.
He is a savage. Slay boy, what up?
Whoa. What? Slay boy. Did Callie tell you to say that or something? Are you stealing her vocabulary?
No, I just been hanging with the people.
You go to those meetings?
I go to the meetings with the kids.
I got you.
That sounded wrong. I go to the meetings with the college people.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. But anyways, I'm super excited about this weekend. I am interested to see what these playoff games feel like. It's obviously new territory for the expanded playoff. We know what the 14 playoff is like, but I think they're going to be pretty intense. I think Notre Dame wins tonight. I think Texas is going to beat Clemson. I think Penn State beats SMU, and I think Tennessee goes into Ohio and upsets Ohio State. So
I agree with you on the Tennessee game.
You know what I'm hearing, and this makes me laugh, because I lived up in Tennessee for a while, and I hear people talk about the weather. Oh, the weather's what an advantage it's going to be for Ohio.
It snows in Tennessee.
In Knoxville is like Nome at this time, or in the winter, it's like Nome with a big university.
Right.
It gets freaking cold in Knoxville. There's, oh gosh, it's going to be such a difference.
Shock to the system. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. By the way, I've read this a couple times. Apparently, tickets around the country are not that expensive. It's not like must-see TV or must-see in-person games. I've seen that around the country. That's weird to me.
I think it's great. It may be weird, and we thought that, oh gosh, who has any money left?
Well, this is true.
I've talked about it yesterday, they already soaked you
NIL,
as a fan for
tickets.
Yeah, make a donation. You got to make a donation to buy the tickets. And oh, by the way, if you win and you want to see a game the next week, then you're going to buy a plane ticket and have the hotels and eat out. And so people are probably saying,
I'm tapped out, bro.
I will wait. Yeah, I'm if I have any money left. And it's Christmas time on top of that.
As right as you are, and you are right, OB, I guarantee you, if that stadium across the street was having a playoff game this weekend, tickets would be crazy.
You mean people would be buying them?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
and it would be raising prices.
Because we haven't seen it. Yeah, they probably would, because they haven't taken advantage of their fan base enough. But Aggies are the most loyal, blindly loyal fan base, and they haven't seen success to that degree in quite a while. So Aggies would be coming in.
Yeah, they would. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie, the teacher Gardner. Callie, good morning.
The teacher, good morning.
Well, because you're teaching folks how to social center stuff.
Yeah. I thought you were calling me a teacher because Nick always tells me I look like a teacher.
You got a little teacher vibe to you.
Yeah.
There's a little bit. But no, because you're teaching Kaylee how to do the job, which she will be doing in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. We're excited for the new group of interns.
Kaylee and Callie?
And Kay.
And Kay.
And Cade.
Cade. And Caitlin. And Katie.
And Casita. Anyway, I made somebody up.
You got Cade back there?
Oh, do we still have Cade?
No.
You tell me.
I don't know. Okay, I'm kidding. He's visiting his family. All right, what do you have for us, Kelly?
Lots of stuff.
Lots, okay.
Lots. The Texas A&M women's basketball team dominated Mississippi Valley State yesterday, 96-54 behind double-doubles from Jada Malone and Amira Abdur-Rahim to wrap up their non-conference slate. They finished with a 7-5 record in non-conference and will open up SEC play at Reed Arena against Tennessee on January 2nd, and they're just going to jump right into conference play. The SEC women's basketball is a tough conference, so excited to see.
Is there anything in the SEC that isn't
what
tough?
I was just thinking.
I was talking to my mom about that yesterday. I think this year, I mean, usually the SEC is pretty good at a lot of things, but I think
not
this
great
year,
in rowing.
I don't know if we have rowing.
Texas does.
Texas has a rowing team?
Yeah.
Huh.
they're good at equestrian.
So are we.
You're saying they are?
No. The
We.
SEC.
The SEC, yeah. And A&M is one of the best.
Yeah, and I don't know how many equestrian teams there are across. I know Nick might know. I don't know.
Nick is a big
there's only
equestrian.
like 24, 25 programs in the country. There's not that many.
I know Georgia has it, and I know A&M has it.
Yeah.
And
SMU
Auburn.
should
Auburn's
have
good too.
it. SMU should have it because they're the Mustangs.
Yeah. There you go.
You can
I was
laugh.
waiting for it. Men's basketball is closing down their non-conference soon as well. They have 2 games left before SEC play starts. They take on Houston Christian today at 1 p.m. and it's Fan Appreciation Day, so parking and admission is free. So head to Reed Arena and watch the Aggies play some free basketball. Former Baylor outside hitter Kendall Stowers announced that she's committing to A&M volleyball, and she is the sister of former Aggie quarterback and current Vanderbilt tight end Eli Stowers.
All conference tight end.
Yeah, she is the former number 16 prospect in the country. She was named to the preseason Big 12 Freshman of the Year and was super productive in her 14 matches there. Her year was cut short due to an involuntarily medical retirement that seems very complicated, but she had a lot of concussions. But since then, she's been cleared by multiple doctors. And so Jamie Morrison added her to the 2025 roster. So we're excited to see her in Aggieland.
I saw him tweet, alluding to something big like that. So I'm glad that's the news.
Okay, I don't mean to sound ignorant here.
Okay.
I can't help it a lot. Is concussions a big thing for volleyball players?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard Kay yell.
Really?
I mean,
Okay. I get it in football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certain other sports, but
The
how many
World's game.
How many times do you get hit in the head?
it's not necessarily, I don't think, getting hit in the head.
It's the shaking of the head.
Yeah, and I mean,
I just made that up.
I think there's also like the potential, the court is super hard.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I get
Kay
that.
says a lot of collisions
So-
happen as well
Okay.
between players.
Okay.
so-
Okay, never seen them, but I don't watch a lot of volleyball. All right.
We were watching last
We're
night.
Just glad to glad
yeah,
another
did
good
y'all watch
player is-
Nebraska?
We were watching, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a good game
it was a
won?
good game.
or a good match.
Yeah, match.
I turned it off in the second set, so I didn't.
Nebraska did
so
not
that-
win, if that's what you were.
So Wisconsin won.
No, that game was already played. Nebraska beat Wisconsin.
Oh.
That was last
They
week.
beat Penn State, or they lost to Penn State last night.
I'm so confused.
So it's Penn State and Louisville in the
Who's on first?
yeah, not OB.
What else?
Coach Morrison is leading the USA Volleyball National Team Development Program training camp in Louisville that was announced yesterday. He talked about that a little bit last time he was in studio, so I know he's really excited for that. So hopefully he has a great time.
All right, Carlita, thank you very much. We'll hit a break here. We're going to come back. We're not going to do a pick six per se, but we're going to go through the games. We're going to get some thoughts, okay? Can we do that?
I can give you some thoughts.
All right.
Don't know that they're accurate, but I
Yeah.
definitely have some thoughts.
So we'll have some thoughts on the playoff games. Got a lot to get into here over the next hour. 9 o'clock hour, we're supposed to have Billy on the phone at some point. We're going to have John Pugliese, 10 o'clock, really good hour. Connor O'Gara, I like him, and Chris Doering.
Oh, yeah, I like all those guys.
Doring's great. Yeah, so we'll talk to those guys later on the show. Right now, we're talking about Prize Picks. Check out prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. Get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. 2 to 6 player stat projections. So this weekend, as you're enjoying the college football playoffs, you can look at what stats you want to see from this guy, that guy, Quinn Ewers, whoever. You want him to throw for 4 yards, you go less than. That's what you do. You put less than. If you hit on those, you're going to make some money. Super simple. And then they got a lot of great promotions going on right now. You got the Nikolai Jokic free pick. Right now, all you need him to do is score a bucket, and you're going to win. Choose that as a free square. You've got 5 and 6 pick power plays. You've got Picksmith. So a bunch of different ways to be involved. Again, all you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs and get $50 instantly when you play in $5 lineups. It is Prize Picks.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
And as a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way.
What's your favorite pizza?
I'm more of
Something with broccoli all over it?
I don't do broccoli pizza ever.
Okay.
In fact, I've never in my life.
Okay.
I'm against vegetable pizza.
Okay, favorite pizza is?
I'm probably just going to go pepperoni.
Me too.
You know, it's basic. Like, I don't need to have, I'm not an anchovy guy.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't want onions or freaking pineapples. Don't ruin my pizza with a pineapple. Why are you going to do that? It's like putting pickles on food.
My wife likes mushrooms. I don't even like mushrooms.
No. Mushrooms okay in like in a soup when it's combined with something else or in a pasta dish.
Yeah, I never liked mushrooms ever.
Yeah.
No.
I just keep my pizza basic, bro.
So see, I could go to Double Dave and say, look, I just want a basic pizza. Give me some extra cheese and a little extra sauce, but it's a basic pepperoni pizza. Hook me up.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, I eat pizza. People act like I eat broccoli.
Don't know if I've ever seen it.
You've seen me eat bad. You have.
Have I?
You've seen me eat a lot. That you have.
But bad?
Okay, no, not bad, but not as good as you. You guys make it look like I'm eating like I'm a vegetarian, and all I eat is like, please, let me have a piece of broccoli, please.
No, I've never seen anyone order chicken wings with a side of broccoli. That was the first.
I did do that once. Yeah, I did do that once. That was a little embarrassing. It was baked, by the way. It wasn't fried. The wings.
Chicken wings,
yeah.
Of course.
And a salad. Anyway.
I just put a trough in front of me, and I'll eat in it like a hog.
I've seen you do that. Yeah. 1775. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Mm.
Anywho, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We got games.
We sure do.
Let's hear them.
I don't think you were ready for me to come to. You were like, Dave's
She's probably thinking about what kind of pizza she likes.
What is that?
My game.
Oh.
I've got it pulled up. I was ready.
Oh, sorry. I don't like her response to me.
Yeah, I don't like that tone.
Sleeping with the fishes, like Luca Brasi. Remember Luca Brasi?
I do.
Who's he?
The guy from the movie.
What movie?
Not Revenge of the Nerds.
Where does he sleep?
With the fishes.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
He's dead.
Is he the guy with the eyes that go crazy?
Yeah.
Is he the one that got, yeah.
His eyes were going crazy because he was being strangled.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
The Godfather.
That's what that's from. The second one?
The first one.
Oh.
The greatest movie ever. Written by Mario Puzo. Francis Ford Coppola. Sorry, you want more information? I will. Anyway, let's get to the games.
Our first game is Indiana at Notre Dame. It is tonight at 7 o'clock on ABC, and Notre Dame is favored by 6.5.
Okay, this is an impromptu prize pick six, not an official one. This will not go in the standings.
Okay.
Because apparently people don't update the standings anymore. So, OB, what do you think?
Boy, I wish it was 7.5.
Yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame.
It's probably the smart pick.
Yeah, I'm
but
smart.
when have I ever been smart?
Never.
Indiana.
Wait, aren't you in first place or second or something like that?
That can't be right.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I've had 3 bad weeks in a row. I was right up there. I was like A&M.
Yeah.
You
had a bad November.
I was in first place, and now
You've lost on the road and at home in November.
Yeah.
But now we're in December, bro. Just like the Aggies are going to Las Vegas.
I'm going to
change things.
You know what? I'm taking Indiana because I don't like Notre Dame. That's the only reason.
Well, I'm taking Notre Dame because A&M lost to Notre Dame.
You know what? Nick Savage said earlier that Notre Dame was going to win, so that gives me confidence in Indiana.
I think Nick likes when we make fun of him.
I think my sports takes are fair game because you're not wrong, Ob. I am wrong fairly regularly.
So
just ask my wife. She always.
Yeah, you're a newlywed. You're going to be wrong a hell of a lot more.
Your whole life, bro.
Your whole life.
Anywho, I don't know why I say that. I hate anywho. Anyway. What's up, yo? What else do you have?
Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., SMU plays at Penn State, and that game is on TNT and HBO Max, I believe, and Penn State is favored by 8.5 points.
2 questions, and we're going to do the same thing with Texas and Clemson in a minute. Who has SMU played? Wait. Who has Penn State played?
Who's Penn State beat?
There we go. Better way of phrasing it.
Yeah, I'm taking Penn State.
Yeah,
I don't know who they've beaten, but I'm going to take Penn State. But, hey, Mustangs, I hope you win. Beat Penn State and then start an equestrian program.
I'm taking Penn State.
Okay. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. also on TNT and Max. Clemson takes on Texas in Austin, and Texas is favored by 12 points.
I am not used to college football on TNT, for the record. Is this first time?
I don't know.
Okay.
I never pay attention to what channel it's on. I just keep flipping through the channels till I see the game.
Is Charles Barkley involved in this at all? That'd be the only way that'll be even better. No?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, they just put him on random stuff because they have his rights. I got to take Texas. I hate to say it. I think Texas is going to win by 18 or so. Yeah, I do. I hope I'm wrong. And on Monday, people are like, but I think Texas, people struggle to throw on them. People struggle to run on them. And I think they're legit. I hate to say it.
They are legit. I just don't know if they're legit to beat Clemson by what did you say, 12 and a half?
12.
12. Always want that extra half. Yeah, I'll probably take Texas too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last, we have Tennessee at Ohio State. The game is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on ABC, and Ohio State is favored by 7.5 points.
I'm taking Tennessee faux show.
Yeah. I think Tennessee might win that one outright.
I think so.
Tennessee runs well.
They play great defense.
They play really good defense.
They can't handle the snow.
And the question to me, look, Ohio State's secondary has been suspect all year. When they're not giving up a big pass, they're holding or getting. The problem is Tennessee receivers drop passes left and right. And I'm not a big believer in Nico. I'm believing on a jet plane, but I think that Tennessee has enough there. You're going to give me points? Yeah, I'll take the Volunteers.
Yep. I 100% agree. Any other games you want to get into, or is that it?
That's it. Well, we have the Florida game that's tonight, but I don't. Right? Isn't that tonight?
Yep. Florida game is tonight. They're taking on Tulane.
Line on that is 10, I believe.
Yeah, 10.5. Florida is favored.
That's a big.
It's actually at 2:30 tomorrow or tonight, not tonight.
That's a big line.
I don't know enough about Tulane. I know they're 9-4 or whatever. I don't know enough about them without Willie Fritz. I'm going Florida, just because.
They're an SEC team.
Yeah,
that's playing pretty decent ball. That's all I need to know. I mean, they're on they've really been they've been playing well.
So you know how people keep saying
they're on a roll.
People keep saying that the bowl games don't matter and this game for A&M doesn't really matter, which I understand the why behind it because you're not in the playoffs. If A&M were to lose this game to USC and Florida were to win this game against Tulane, they would have the same record at 8-5.
8-5.
And I felt for a while A&M was astronomically better than Florida.
Well, I can tell you one day I felt A&M was astronomically better. It was that day they were kicking their ass in Gainesville.
We were there.
Yeah.
And I had the flu or whatever I had. That was the worst day.
You were in bad shape.
That day sucked.
You must have got some bad broccoli that day.
I had some bad broccoli and pizza. All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll come back. We're going to look at 2025 when we come back. Okay? We'll do that because one of the media outlets that sometimes talks about the SEC, Saturday Down South, has a projection for A&M next year. Already.
How can you do that when
I don't
you
know.
don't even know who's going to?
You know how?
No, you
just do it so you get clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
You got to produce content.
So you said you've never seen me eat bad, but you've seen me eat a lot. And where's a place that we have gone together, not just because 1775 is coming up, but where have you seen me like, okay, David, slow down?
Well, first of all, you can't eat bad because the food's too good at 1775.
It's protein, bro.
It's protein and a lot of it. You got my favorite, the pork rib, but you got that great brisket and the sausage. It's so tasty.
You know what I just noticed about you?
What?
You were kind of like subdued for a moment, and then you started talking about 1775, and you were like, it's like steroids, bro.
I know it. It's like that's like barbecue on steroids at 1775. It's a muscled up barbecue, but it's tender.
I think I've maxed out the bros. I can't say any more bros for the rest of the day. I've done too many today.
And
but
then you can get the queso mac and cheese on top of that.
I'd drink the cheese.
Last time I was there, I got a big baked potato, and it was stuffed with brisket.
How was that?
It was awesome.
They're open today.
Today's
Thursday,
Friday,
and Saturday. They're open from 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Stosser Parkway in College Station. Call them up 979-492-6241 or go to 1775txbbq.com.
Get some.
Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. And we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studios to Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. As I mentioned, Saturday Down South has some projections for teams next year.
Let's hear it.
And when I read it to you, people are not going to like it. It's not bad, by the way. It's not bad. Because I think people wanted that projection for this year.
All right.
All right. Texas A&M Aggies, 9-3.
Okay.
Key wins at Notre Dame.
All right.
At LSU, and versus South Carolina.
Okay.
Okay.
So they got them losing to Texas again.
Yeah.
Well, what is Texas going to have next year? Arch, right? But you know what I'm concerned about as I look forward. And look, again, we don't know who's going to be playing for A&M yet. Why are they going to be better against the run? Why are they going to be better in run defense next year?
I don't have a reason yet. I really don't, because you had the guys that you expected to be able to do it this year, and a group that, by the way, the year prior did a really good job at stopping the run. They were significant. They were better at stopping the run the year prior. I don't know why. I do think year two of a system, understanding a philosophy, even if it's different guys, but being here for a second year can put you there. And maybe the guys that were waiting in the wings just might be better at that job.
Might be. It might be.
This is what it says about why they think they're right.
Okay.
It'll be Mike Elko's Aggies in the Alabama position of 2025, a 9-3 team that was lost a winnable game and played the FCS team late to potentially ding playoff chances. Texas A&M will stun Notre Dame and South Bend to throw the Cadets in. Oh, God, I'm not going to read that. Like, why do you got to be rude about our Yale leaders? I mean, I didn't know they said that. We'll stage a massive upset. Auburn will stage a massive upset 2 weeks later in College Station. Texas A&M will once again need to beat Texas in the season finale to have a playoff spot, and we know how that will go. Well, how do we know that?
Again,
who wrote this? David Wasson? Why you talk about my people, bro? Anyway.
9 wins sounds like a generous, maybe.
So as of today, you wouldn't have them at 9 wins.
But I don't know, because there's going to be
too many unknowns.
As of today, I'm worried about how they're going to stop the run. I'm excited about. I think the offense is going to be significantly better.
Yep.
And so that'll compensate for a lot. But was the defense really good this year?
They had moments where they were really good. But to me, a really good defense isn't about moments. It's about sustainability. Because like in the Auburn game, there was a stretch where that defense did not allow Auburn to get an inch. Unfortunately, there was a beginning and an end to that game too.
Right. Yeah. So they were kind of inconsistent. The Texas game, they only give up 17 points. You should win. But let's be honest.
Our eyes told us something different.
Texas is moving the ball up and down the field.
Yep.
You get a pick six from, inside the 10.
Yep.
And then they fumble and hey, that's great. You made the plays to keep them from scoring.
But could you have made those plays earlier so they didn't get in territory every time?
Right. So, I thought it was a good defense. I didn't think it was a great defense. And then you're going to take 3 guys off the line that are projected to be NFL draft choices. Are you going to be better? Maybe, but I have to be honest and look at it and say, until they add some more defensive linemen, I'm going to have to be questioning. Now maybe, maybe the freshman coming in, like the big old kid from Belleville.
Right.
Or the rank kid. Maybe they're going to come in and be able to play at a high level right away. You never know, but I have to wonder about that.
Yeah, look, I look at it this way. The product isn't done yet, right? We don't know.
Exactly.
For anybody.
For anybody.
We don't know what Texas is going to look like next year, right? Like, I understand. Apparently, they're this big juggernaut that's, every year. This is year one of the SEC was phenomenal. And last year in the Big 12 was a great year for them.
With every advantage that Greg Sankey could possibly get.
100%, right? But if they get upset this weekend, would that surprise anybody? No. I think they're going to win significantly, but would I be surprised if they lost to Clemson this weekend? I would not be surprised.
I would be mildly surprised.
Okay, that's a better way of phrasing it. But as for their schedule, it's the same schedule, just flipped. Do I like the idea of going to South Bend a little bit later? Was it week 3?
Yeah, week 3.
I think that could be an advantage for A&M. Could be. But this team hasn't proven that they can win on the road consistently yet.
Yeah, they lost their last 2 road games? Is that right?
Yeah, and if you just look at the last 4 years, right? If you look at it, this is not a team that wins on the road. They won 2 this year.
I'm still broken from the Auburn loss. It made no sense. It made no sense. And if you'd won that game, so much would have been different. Just the outlook and the thinking, But, I keep thinking, look, if you can't stop the run, right? I go back to, and I don't think they're going to be as bad as A&M was. What was it in 22? Was it 22 when everybody just ran at them?
Yes.
And that dipstick, who's now the defensive coordinator at Auburn, kept putting three defensive linemen and 4 linebackers when you didn't have 4 linebackers, right? Mm-hmm. But remember how A&M struggled to win because everybody could just run on them. And so that's what I'm concerned about, because I think if you can't stop the run, you're not likely to win.
So in 22, teams beat them because there was dysfunction in that locker room, in that program, but also you could run on them at will. In 24, why did A&M lose games? What would be your biggest reason? Well, inconsistency at the quarterback?
No, I don't know if that was the biggest reason. I think the biggest reason, in my opinion, is just the propensity and to give up big plays. I mean, to go to Auburn. Auburn's throwing the ball like crazy on them. Does Auburn throw the ball like crazy on anybody else?
Not the way they did on A&M.
What was it, Cam Coleman with like a 60-yard touchdown? You're down 14-0 right out of the gate because you can't cover a guy? Right. I thought the safety play, okay, let's just be honest with it. We try to be nice about it. Maybe I'm wrong, when they're looking at what a coach is looking for, and I don't have the same trained eyes, but I thought the safety play was grossly disappointing.
I agree.
And when the pass rush stopped being productive,
the defense stopped being productive.
Then the holes in the secondary got bigger.
Mm-hmm. Will Lee was a delight.
Yes.
Pretty much all season long.
Yes, he was.
He was a delight to watch. But yeah, if I would say, yeah, you're probably right. The biggest reason they lost games was the big plays that they gave up and inconsistent. And I know there was a stretch where they were leading the SEC in scoring per game, but we watched those games. That offense, it was just, they'd have a big game. What do you say to people who say, yeah, A&M won the games when they weren't ready for your quarterback? Missouri wasn't ready for you. Florida wasn't ready.
You should have gotten ready.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't Florida be ready? But yeah, you should have gotten ready. That's all. Well, then we could, you could probably turn that around.
LSU wasn't ready for Marcel in the second half.
Well, it should have gotten ready. I think a good coach can make adjustments during the game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But I do think against South Carolina, they should have been more productive offensively. But when I think of that game and how you lost, I just have nightmares of Sellers running through the defense.
That's why you lost that game.
And then I see a tight end, or I think it was a tight end, somebody 10 yards behind the secondary to catch a ball.
Yeah, you lost that game because you couldn't tackle.
And, Auburn, how many points did you give up in that game? How many points did you score?
Scored enough to win.
So I just thought it was the tendency to give up the big, big plays that killed them.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have a decent selection of commercial vehicles with service body trucks, flatbed trucks, and several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They are locally owned and operated by Aggie alumni. They're the place that I went to go get a Tahoe a couple years back. That car's been great for us. They helped us find the right car. They actually brought in a couple different ones. We test drove it. We loved it. Got a great deal on it. Got a great deal on the existing car that we had. Great trade-in value. Again, the whole experience was top-notch. And their customer service after the fact is incredible. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They also have free oil changes for life on the life of the purchase. As long as you own that car from Caldwell Country Chevrolet, you get yourself a free oil change. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Bank on it time, presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. You can learn more at verabank.com. Obi, what are you banking on, buddy?
Is it too easy to bank on the Aggies basketball team?
No. I mean, there's not a lot going on.
How about, let's say, hitting triple digits today?
Mm-hmm.
How about Pharrell Payne scoring in double figures for the third time in 4 games?
I like the way you think.
How about him actually exceeding his 16-point total that he had against Purdue?
I like the way you think, buddy. I'm going to give you one that's Captain Obvious, but we're not thinking about it.
All right.
Okay. Wade Taylor is going to move into second place all-time on Texas A&M scoring list. He just needs 14 points.
Oh, yeah.
He averages 16.
He's got that.
He's going to have 20. Okay, 20 plus in this game. Maybe he won't have to because they'll be up so much. But he's going to get his 14.
I would think so. The only thing I'd worry about, especially on Fan Appreciation Day, right? The only thing I'd worry about is them getting such a big lead
that he doesn't play that much.
Sitting down.
But he's going to get 14. All right, I'm banking on that. So Wade Taylor will move into second place.
Maybe he'll bank in a shot to get
that would be the way to do it.
Because then you can bank on him while he banks in the end.
And he is not that far away from Bernard King's 1,990 points. It looks like right now he's at 1,764 career points. And Bernard King, who's first place, 1,990. 1,990 points.
I would not be surprised if he reaches that. Especially if they make it. I mean, he may reach it before March. I mean, we've seen him score 30 points in bunches. Now, he doesn't have to this year, but especially they make
I mean, do you think he's going to average almost 20 points a game for 10 to 15 more games?
If he wants to.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't, right? He's got what, 19 games left before postseason?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about Wade Taylor.
At that point, he just needs to average 10 points a game.
Rooting for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll get there.
I know he can't do it. It's not for just this week, but I'm still banking on Mike Evans getting to 1,000 for the 11th consecutive year.
At one point, people had given up on the thought, and they're like, he actually might do it.
He needs to average like 80 receiving yards in his last 3 games.
I think he can do that.
I think he can. He had like 150 or something last week.
Yeah.
Go, Mike.
Do you think that coaches think about that kind of stuff? I know they're just trying to win games, but
I wonder if there's anything in his contract that gives him a bonus if he, So if that's the case, yeah, I do think they think about it.
I'm lobbying for TexAgs Live to be in Canton the weekend he gets inducted.
My all-time favorite player at A&M, because I always just admired. He was good, but being good wasn't good enough for him, and he was a tough guy that went out and worked hard to get better.
You see him.
Everybody should be that way.
He and Vaughn may be retiring right around the same time, and either we get like back-to-back years of Aggies going to the Hall of Fame, or
Richmond Webb,
Richmond Webb, yeah, past
Lester
due.
Hayes,
past due.
What if it was just an all Aggie class?
I think that would be fun.
That'd be awesome. Then we would be there.
Yeah, we might go anyway, buddy.
Heck yeah.
Obi, thank you, buddy. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, when we come back on TexAgs Live, John Pugliese, talk a little Aggie basketball. After that, Billy Liucci. After that, we've got Connor O'Gara and Chris Doering. That and more is TexAgs Live. Yes, Nick, I know I'm back. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is hour number 2 of the program. We're talking some Aggie basketball. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. That's where we find John Pugliese. I don't think I've talked to Pugliese in a minute. John, how are you, buddy?
It's been a minute. I appreciate being back on with you. I'm doing really well. Thank you, David.
Well, good, man. So what do you think about this Aggie basketball team this year? You always shoot it to me straight. What? I mean, obviously there's a lot to like. What's your perception of the team?
I think the 3 transfers have put themselves in a position to really make an impact. The addition of them with a core nucleus that has, quite frankly, been around longer than most college basketball teams have lately, right? You've got guys who have been in the program for multiple years. You have guys who have had multiple roles in the same program. You have guys who have had to star in those roles. They understand the concepts that the coaching staff is putting together and the game plans and how they do things and the game days and all of these things, right? So this team has been around together, and then they added a few players to add to that core nucleus. And so what I think you're seeing is a veteran team with really great role definition, a team that still struggles to score at times, but because they're so connected as a group, especially on the defensive end, you're seeing one of the best teams in college basketball. Certainly a team worthy of top 15, top 10 recognition right now.
Well, let's go back to that comment about some of the offensive issues at times. To me, I still see those same issues you're talking about, but they seem to last shorter. And sometimes when they happen, it just happens to be the same is happening to the other team, right? Sometimes these droughts are happening to both teams. And in that situation, I like the Aggies' chances.
Yeah, I think, great defense leads into offense, right? So, like, when you aren't scoring the ball on the offensive end, when there's a lid on the rim, right? When there's a rim on the goal, you just can't get it in. What are you relying on? You're relying on your team on the defensive end to get stops in a row, and then to transition into quick, easy baskets on the offensive end. So while it may be difficult in the half court, which we've seen for what feels like an eternity now with A&M basketball, just a difficulty scoring in the half court, you don't necessarily see the drought scoring as a whole, because what they're doing is they're getting 3, 4, 5 stops in a row, and they're transitioning into buckets on the offensive end with runouts. They're getting 2 feet into the paint. They're kicking the ball ahead. Now they have some of their guys who can do some things in transition, and you're seeing some emergence of some guys, right? So I think because this team is so connected defensively and so interchangeable on the defensive end, which had to be one of Buzz's goals for his coaching staff, is to make a team that can be switchable 1 through 5, that will keep teams out of the paint, that's going to contest every shot, and then that can run out. Because you're seeing that, you're seeing those maybe shorter droughts, even while there's this like lid on the half court offensively.
I was reminded yesterday on the YouTube chat that in A&M's 2 losses this year, Zurich Phelps didn't play, and they were without Solo against Oregon. So this team, even though they've lost a couple games that you feel like they should have won or could have won, when they're at full strength, they've been pretty tough to deal. I mean, more than tough to deal with. They're undefeated when they're at full strength.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, UCF was the first game of the year, second game of the year, throw that game out. That and we're going to say that over time here, right, as this SEC season gets going, right? Like, oh, well, that game was in November or whatever, right? I mean, UCF, while that doesn't look great as a loss, whatever. It's not a big deal. You're playing without Phelps. First games of the year, you're actually coming off of just destruction by Houston in the exhibition game. That is an outlier. And when I'm looking at the data, Oregon is a good team. I watched Oregon play here out in Los Angeles against USC. Oregon is good, right? They won that what was it called? Players Collective event where everybody got $500,000 or whatever. They won that, right? So that was a good team as well. I think you're just looking at a team that's coming together at a really good time, and I think unlike maybe a few of the previous years, right? This team has role definition in a way that I don't think A&M has really had outside of Wade being Wade. You've got front court guys really stepping up as a nucleus of four with Solo and Anderson Garcia and Payne and Coleman, right? They're 20 plus a game, points per game and 20 plus rebounds. It's going to be tough to beat them, right? And then you have Phelps and you have Wade Taylor in the backcourt. I said this last week with Bronny, David. I'd actually like Wade to shoot more. Yep. And I know that raises some eyebrows, but I want him shooting 18 shots a game. Why? Because he gives us the best chance for the ball to go in the basket, So I'd actually like to see the ball more in Phelps' hand, run Wade off some stuff and put him off the ball so he can get the ball where everyone's not just staring at him low in the shot clock when everyone knows that he's going to shoot a 20-footer and it's going to be contested. So I'd actually like to see things a little bit different in that regard. But this team's fun to watch. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. They're old school. I like where they're at going kind of, last couple non-conference games going into SEC play.
So let's go back to that Wade Taylor comment, because do you think he's doing it because they're trying to, I don't want to say limit his usage because it's not necessarily that, but trying to make sure he's at his best strength at the end of the season and trying to get these other guys in there? Or do you think this is the offense that they're using now? I tend to believe that this has more to do with Wade Taylor as a player and a teammate than it does anything X's and O's wise. I think Wade is just a really great teammate. I really do. I think he would prefer to get the ball up and give the ball up to a teammate to give them a chance to score the basketball. I don't think anyone's telling him to pass more or he shouldn't be shooting that. I just think it's the connectivity of Wade to his teammates. And quite frankly, what it might take is some of his teammates being like, yo, you need to go get some for us here. And you need to shoot the ball more. I don't think it's a usage thing. I don't think it's a, hey, we got to get everyone else involved. I don't think that it's that. I think it's purely about what kind of teammate he is and the fact that he's really trying to support being a team player in every sense of the word. Yeah. What about the pieces around him? I know you like what the transfers have done. You mentioned Pharrell Payne earlier. Zurich Phelps is a guy that I see so much more potential that's going to be showing up at some point. He still hasn't kind of fully realized, I think, his role with A&M yet. How do you see him developing?
Yeah, the one thing about Phelps and Wade combined is Phelps doesn't shoot it great from three. The difference between Boots and Phelps was Boots could catch and shoot something off of penetration from Wade. It wasn't penetration into penetration, right? Which is what you see a lot with Phelps. I like Phelps a lot. I think he's more of a ball dominant guard, more similar to Wade than he's different. And it's great to have another guy who can go get you a basket, especially, rebound the ball and pushing out or getting an outlet pass where Wade doesn't have to be that guy. So I like Phelps a lot. I like that it gives you a little bit of size. I think he's been okay on the defensive end. The guys who have been in the program a couple years that I just want to see more out of, and I know we're talking transfers, but Jace Carter was a transfer and Jace just hasn't done it yet. And that should have been a guy who, because of his size, because of his strength, because of what he has shown the ability to do, he should have been a natural fit next to Wade, who's a smaller guard and ball dominant. Jay should have been able to play off of him. Hayden Hefner's another guy, right? Should be a guy who he's got some athleticism. He also came in as a catch and shoot type guy, and he just hasn't filled that role the way I think A&M needs a catch and shoot guy. And then Wilcher just hasn't really transitioned into, a core member of this A&M group yet, a guy who I think has a chance to help them in SEC play because he's done it in Big Ten play before. But, this team from a transfer perspective, and I think specifically when we talk about Phelps and Payne, is you got two guys who bring something different to an A&M team with some athleticism and size at their position. and, I think really are going to help them come SEC play while A&M hasn't fouled a ton on the defensive end, you're going to get some foul trouble, especially in the rough and rugged SEC. And so it's going to matter that you have guys like that who have the experience and are now on this A&M squad.
Talking to John Pugliese on the Boss Firearms Hotline. John, let's break down Obaske's game, because I'm a big fan of the way he plays when he's at his best. Unfortunately, he's been a little erratic this year. There's been some good moments, some tough moments. But that's just kind of how Manny goes throughout the year. And that, that's kind of been his, I don't want to say MO, but that's what we've seen so far.
Yeah, because he's another guy who he is another guy who is similar to the other guards that they have, right? Manny's had a hard time, and he fitted really well with Wade and Boots last year. Why? Because he brought something different than Boots, right? Who brought something different to Wade. He is very similar to these other guys on this roster. And so while Manny is a flyer, he is an athlete. He is a guy who can get to the rim. He can finish around the cup, right? He can finish over. He can finish through guys. He isn't a guy who plays on the perimeter in a half-court game. And quite frankly, this A&M team is a half-court offensive nightmare. And they have been for a couple years. So last year, what was he doing? He had the ball in his hands a lot more. He could get the ball off the rim. He could go and push in transition. He could make some plays. It was a really good place for him to find baskets, right? This year, he just hasn't evolved into that half-court guy that I think they were really hoping they'd have. And there's this side that Phelps has filled a lot of those minutes that could have gone to Manny with the absence of Boots, right? So I've thought he's going to take the step. He's going to take the step, and he still might. Because you have to remember, where did he really evolve last year and where did he really shine last year? It was come SEC play, come SEC tournament, right? I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but from what I remember, I seem to remember him being really good the second half of SEC play. Why? Because he's playing against a bunch of athletes in an up-and-down game. Non-conference team, your non-conference opponents are trying to slow you down. These are bye games, right? Guarantee games, a lot of them, right? So, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make you do something different than you want to do. They don't want to let you get out and run. Well, that's not perfect for Manny. So let's see what happens come SEC play when he's playing with, and it's, athlete on athlete. I'm interested to see that and where his role really fills in, and can he carve out a niche with this team with the emergence of Phelps and with the addition of Phelps to the roster.
Talking to John Pugliese here on TexAgs. What do you think about the Henry Coleman we're seeing this year? Last year he wasn't 100%, and I think he missed having a partner up front with him in the front court without Julius Marble. And, obviously Andy Garcia had such a huge year, but having that physical presence, how do you think Henry is looking with Pharrell Payne next to him?
I really, I said this last week, I said this a little bit before, but Henry Coleman is an elite leader. He's a great player to have in your front court, a guy who gets it, a guy who knows the game plan, who knows what's expected of him. He does a really good job in spurts. Henry has never been a guy who's going to give you 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes in a row. Henry's a guy who gives you 3 to 4 really good minutes and needs to come out, right? Especially come SEC play where there's a lot of banging, there's a lot of up and down. You're going to see shorter spurts out of Henry. You'll see more solo playing big with Anderson, Garcia, and Payne. But for me, it's the connectivity of those 4 guys. If you can get 20+ and 20+ out of Washington, Garcia, Payne, and Coleman, then whatever they do individually in that game doesn't really matter because you have four players who are doing what you need a front court to do. And sometimes that's going to be Henry. Henry can go off, right? He can have 20 and 16. We've seen it where he's had really big rebounding games and he's finished everything around the rim. But every game isn't a great matchup for him, which is why it's so good to have Payne. Because when it's not a great matchup for Henry Coleman, it's a good matchup for Payne, and that matters. They missed that with Marble last year. We talked about it. We've talked about it a lot over the course of the last 2 years, right? They missed having him when in his absence. Henry Coleman probably missed him more than anybody. And so I love this group of four, and I think Henry Coleman will fill the role that Henry Coleman needs to fill game to game, and that's just how he's been, and I think it's going to be how he continues to be in an Aggie uniform.
John, how has Buzz evolved since being at A&M? Has he evolved? Is this the same strategy and style you've seen throughout the process, or has he kind of changed some things?
I think Buzz has a way of doing things that is really important to him. But if you go way back, right, his first 2 years, he was pressing a lot with a diamond one, back into a lot of switching man to man. They played a lot more zone. They just didn't have the horses to compete in the league, but they did things X and O's wise that confused some teams, especially on the defensive end. That transitioned into having Quint Jackson at the point of the press, who was an athlete, who's a high flyer, who could get steals in the backcourt and run out and really energize this group, especially with that run in the SEC tournament when they were whatever they were, a 10 or 12 seed or whatever they were. And now I think you're seeing a much more pragmatic approach. I think you're seeing a team that knows that they're one of the elites. And I think Buzz, while he hasn't evolved offensively, which has been my probably biggest ridicule of the coaching staff, is just their inability to transition offensively. I think he's done some good things defensively. I think they continue to change things. I think he has put his roster in a great opportunity to have success. And he's not willing to change things up, which a lot of college basketball coaches, especially in today's portal era, are not willing to do because they don't want to lose players. One thing Buzz hasn't done is he hasn't lost dudes, right? So, I give him a lot of credit for being able to have different starting lineups, give some guys minutes one night and some guys minutes the next night. He's been able to do that and not have guys leave because they're unhappy with their minutes or their role on the team. And so I give Buzz a lot of credit because of that. While I'd still love to see some changes offensively, and I've been a critic of that end of the ball. It's hard to say anything else about the way that this team is playing and what they're doing. And quite honestly, this year they need it. I mean, there are 12 teams that could make the NCAA tournament from the SEC. I don't think they're going to get 12 because I think everyone's just going to beat up on each other, and there's going to be a few teams that kind of fall by the wayside. But with what Buzz has done with this roster, with the role definition, I'm a critic. I've been a critic. And this A&M team and this SEC has a chance to finish top four, and that matters and come the NCAA tournament, which might be the best NCAA tournament that we've seen in a long time, in my estimation.
Yeah, let's close out with that, because just the SEC alone, and what do you think? 7, 8 teams going to get in this year? I mean, again, we have to see what SEC play looks like. But like A&M having a 9-2 record, being the 6th best team in the SEC in the rankings at least, I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath, man.
I mean, the worst record right now in the SEC is 8-3, and that's South Carolina, right? Who I think they're a bit of a fraud when it comes to some things. I think Georgia's another one, probably a bit of a fraud. But you have 8 teams in the top 20. Right, you got Tennessee's 1, Auburn's 2, Kentucky's 4, Bama's 6, Florida's 7, A&M's 12, Oklahoma's 14, Ole Miss is 17. You haven't mentioned the Longhorns. You haven't mentioned Arkansas, right? That's 10 teams. I think the SEC gets 10, and I think it potentially, depending on how SEC play goes for some of these teams, you could see an 11th. I mean, it's wild. But how is the committee? How is SEC play going to happen? But how's the NCAA tournament committee going to look at something like this, where, strength of schedule? Okay, what are you going to say about the strength of schedule? They're playing the best teams in the country. And you have 8 right now in the top 20. That's pretty wild. So, I think we're in a really good spot, and I like what's happening. Really excited to watch SEC play. These teams who have not been great, their emergence is really good for college basketball. Missouri being good is really good for college basketball. I love Vanderbilt being good, but it's really good for college basketball. That stuff matters.
John, great stuff, brother. Thanks so much for your time.
Appreciate you.
Merry Christmas, man. Bye. John Pugliese here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. I think we'll have Billy on the other side. We'll try at least. Right now, we're talking Costa Vida. You like fresh Mex? That's where you go. You like quesadillas? They're great. You want them done fast but fresh? That's where you go. You want tortilla soup? I love tortilla soup. You can get it there. You want some just quality service and good fresh Mex done the right way where every ingredient matters. That's why you go to Costa Vida. Very popular spot for breakfast as well. The breakfast tacos there, we had them here for our signing day special. You know, I like to get one. I had three, right? And that's not a fake. That's for real. And I tried the one with potatoes, the one with bacon in it. Like, I tried them all. They're so good. Holly's the best. She's a great Aggie. Brought Costa Vida to town, and we're so happy that she did. They are in South College Station. They are delicious, and you will love it. Aggie owned and operated Costa Vida in South College Station, 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. It's Costa Vida. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Let's talk to the executive editor and co-owner of TexAgs, Billy Liucci, here on TexAgs Live. Billy, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Nuño.
I'm going to read you a tweet that I think speaks your language. It speaks my language a little bit. Are you familiar with the football player by the name of J.J. Watt?
Yes.
He says, he's actually been in the old studio before, would rather play phone tag 10 times if necessary than schedule a call on the calendar. Texting is obviously preferred. What do you think about that?
Say that again, because you're cutting out.
Oh, okay. We may need to send you to a Zoom phone number in a second. But JJ says would rather play phone tag 10 times if necessary than schedule a call on the calendar. I think that's you. You would rather play phone tag than schedule a 9:35 phone call.
Completely agree with that.
Yep.
Completely agree.
Where I think you guys differ is texting is obviously preferred. I think you'd rather talk than text sometimes, Billy.
That is true. That is not a common thing anymore. It hasn't been for a while. People would rather just text. I mean, I think it's like 90% of people would rather text for an hour than talk for 10 minutes. Like you go sit there and text and text and text and text, and sometimes I'd rather talk, and you're like ready to get off the phone faster than the amount of time you're texting. Like if it's like on a weeknight and I'm sitting there wanting to watch something on Netflix or a series or a show or a game, I would honestly rather pause it and talk for 10, 15 minutes than text through the whole thing.
Are you a phone person during a show or a movie?
A what?
A phone person. So like my wife, who I love to death, Elizabeth, her birthday's on Monday. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. She will watch a show and shop and pay bills and do all these things during the show, and it drives me out of my freaking mind because I want her to focus on the show. She's like, I can do two things at once. I can't, and I can see you being that guy too.
Yeah, minus that voice, that's kind of how I am. I'm not in the movie theater, but like if I'm horizontal on a couch or in bed, then that's absolutely what I'm doing while I'm watching something. If I'm at like a movie theater or if I'm sitting up and there's popcorn, then I'm focused on the movie.
Billy, we should probably turn our attention to football. Yesterday, Nebraska tight end Nate Borkrichter, if I'm saying that correctly, committed to A&M, another physical guy that they're going to get that can block and help out with the run game. Just your thoughts on picking up Nate Borkrichter. Nate Borkrichter.
Yeah, that's, and I hope people can hear me trying to talk between, it's like just delay and cut out. I hope they're laughing right now because I'm like, because I wanted to talk real quick about the fact that Lenardi's bracketology just came out, and you got the Ags as a 3 seed in the company of this is their company they're sitting in right now. Gonzaga and Kansas are fellow 3 seeds. Your 4 seeds that A&M's rated ahead of include UConn, Purdue, and U of H. So keep it going. They need to get off to a good conference start because those games just get tougher and tougher. But it's nice to be there after this non-conference schedule. If I'd have told you they were going to be there, it was far from a sure thing,
Yeah, agree with that. All right, so let's keep it with basketball because Wade Taylor's pretty close to becoming the second all-time leading scorer, Billy. And a guy that 3 years ago, I don't know if we would have predicted that for him. We thought he was going to be a really good player, but he's close to etching his name in the annals. I mean, he's already there.
Yeah, no. Greatest of all time at A&M, huh? I mean, it's within reach. I reserve that spot. I'm pretty biased, towards AC Law. And, we can go on and on and on, like on the list. I think when it's all said and done with what I think this team's going to do, there's AC, there's Joe, there's Antoine Wright, Bernard King, then the older players. And I'm partial to a guy like Donald Sloan as well. But when it's all said and done and this year is over, think, obviously Caruso's in there and Tyler Davis. But if Wade plays just Wade Taylor basketball the rest of the way this year, right, and ends up taking the Aggies, if they go to a Sweet 16, and that I'm saying that like at a minimum, so he will have matched the furthest any of those people in the conversation would have gone. He would have led A&M back from kind of the purgatory and the depths to 3 straight tournaments, and really, folks who really know, it should be 4. He would have had an NIT tournament final. He would have had at least 2 SEC tournament finals. He would have had a second-place SEC finish, 1 game off the lead. He would have had a second-round tournament berth where he lit it up in the first round against Nebraska, and then he would have had a Sweet 16, along with all the numbers and accolades. And yeah, it would literally, you could have the argument of Wade and AC Law, but he's got to do something special this year more than just it's pretty incredible what he's doing point-wise, but more than the scoring to get to where we say, okay, you got to look at his body of work and go, damn, this is really, really incredible. And if he hits a game winner or 2 along the way, maybe that's what it'll take for me. But Sweet 16, you're having a real debate, and it's real. And I know Logan hates that. He doesn't hate Wade, but he hates anytime Logan's the guy that would rather A&M never win more than the team he was on won. That's what I always I always give him a hard time about that if he's listening, like he's so mad right now. But it's an exaggeration of truth where I give him a hard time. But Elite 8, I think, done, settled. I think you could call him, if he leads the way on a path there, but just the fact that you can even have this conversation. But my bar with AC Law is set so high that I think it'll take like a special run through this. But I also do think, I think at the end of this, at worst, I'm going to be looking at him as number 2 at worst. And then again, the possibility is there for 1, but I want to see some like Wade Taylor magic this year from him, and then also the team in March.
Billy, you willing to do another segment? Because we got to hit a break here.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll do some football on the other side. You're listening to the TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Right now, we're talking about career opportunities with the Association of Former Students. If you're looking for a gig, great place to look, right? If you live in College Station, or if you live beyond in Bryan, and that's not that beyond, that's here, that's Bryan College Station. But if you live further away and you want to move to Aggieland, great place to look at for jobs is the Association of Former Students. They typically have openings in fundraising and marketing and sales, communications, a lot of different areas. You should check it out to see if it's something that you would like to do. It's a great company. They're the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to Here. And they have awesome events you can help out with as well. Howdy Socials, Aggie Green Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag Association Jobs to find out more. That is tx.ag/Association Jobs to apply and get more information. It is the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go back to the Boss Firearms Hotline, continue our dialogue with Billy Liucci here. Billy, let's talk a little bit about the portal, the most recent addition that I asked you about earlier. Another tight end that can block, another tight end that can be physical for A&M, and just another guy that I think is going to help bolster those fourth and ones and third and shorts. Nate Borricher. Good intro. Hi, Billy.
Hello, David.
Billy, caller, hello. Hey.
Oh my gosh, this is awful.
What's happening?
The delay, it's insane. It's actually going to drive me insane. So you will see me in the asylum. No, with Nate and then adding Riley a week or so ago out of Auburn, like that duo. And I saw the reaction by people yesterday, and I get the desire to get these big names out of the portal. And I think when it's all said and done, you need to see that. You need to see more of like they need game changers, difference makers at particularly wide receiver and along the D line. And we'll talk about that in a second. I think they're making real progress at receiver. Just maybe one more spot there. I'd love to see them fill with you look at, they really wanted Nick Anderson, who went to LSU. And I think you look at a guy like him, and then when you start looking through the portal, like use him as the measuring stick to kind of grade how they do. Who they ultimately end up getting, how does he compare in terms of a good sized outside receiver that's been very productive in college already. In other words, proven veteran with some height on the outside. That's what you're kind of looking at and for. Now, if you told me that they were going to come from behind here while they've got them on the visit and land Concepcion, then sign me the hell up. Sign me up and let's call it a day, and that's an elite portal receiving corps. So I think they're one guy away there. I love the start with Hudson and Craver. Love that start, but the job's not done there at wideout. And then along the D line, let's talk about that in a second. Because tight end, I think they're close. If they can get Helm out of Purdue, terrific. I think he is the prize as a pass catcher, as a playmaker in the passing game. I think he's up there with anyone you're going to get in the portal in terms of potential impact because of what he can do in that passing game. Now, these guys, though, I see these eyebrows raised and people, if you say, I don't like the fact that people will get on Howell if you don't like his birth. Just stop it, guys. Be considerate, be decent. If you don't like the way Howell worded it and made you think there was a big commitment coming, is it really that serious that you get that bothered? Some of these comments. If I had time, there were a couple people that would not be on the site anymore over it. It's just so stupid and childish. But then the other part I do get are people going, man, I don't understand the commit. It's not. No. So let me explain then. Tight end is a real need. And if you watched A&M play this year, blocking at that position got better as the year went on. But it was not a strength. And by the way, I think they've got that pass catcher in Theo. I think they've got that guy that another year in can make some dynamic catches look more routine. And like that game against New Mexico State can happen against SEC teams. Those catches against, Florida and who was it that he had the Bowling Green, those touchdown catches can become more regular and common. I do think that's there for him. But I also think they were desperately in need of blocking on that perimeter, on the edge, at the position, leaving multiple tight ends on the field so they can block in the running game for guys like Moss, Owens, Daniels, and Marcel. So it's a need. It's not a sexy roster need, but it is a need. So just because, I know right now, I think we all want D linemen, right? We all want D linemen and see some big names in the portal. So I understand going, not a D lineman, but you got to recognize the need there. And Donovan Green's still trying to fight back from injury and all that time off, but you lost Watson and Calhoun, and then you lost Platt to the portal for depth. So you lost 3 tight ends. You're going to bring in at least 2, and if you can go and get that elite pass catching tight end, you'll get them. But these 2 guys, by the way, are athletic and tall, and they'll be able to make catches. But the dynamic weapon, I think, you still look at Theo as potentially being that guy, or if you're able to go get Helm out of the portal. I keep saying Helm like it's Gunnar Helm because he reminds me of Gunnar Helm with the way he makes plays. So that's a weapon that A&M has not had, and if Colin Klein's got it, they will absolutely use it. But what they need is significantly improved blocking at that position, because it will really change what they're able to do running the football, particularly on the perimeter. So that's what this is. That's what this is. And if you go watch him on tape and you look at Riley and you look at what those guys look like, you see where they're going with it. And you see they're going to have 260-pound type guys out there blocking defensive ends and outside linebackers that they can physically handle. So these are necessary pickups. And I've seen a few tight ends commit elsewhere, and I know for a fact that A&M had placed Nate, based on what he did at Nebraska, above some of these guys that I've seen commit elsewhere. So I know it's not, like I said, it's not sexy, but I know the people in Bright yesterday were pretty excited about it.
Billy, I think we fully expect some more guys to enter the portal as the playoffs continue and teams get eliminated. That's got to be the expectation, right?
I would say hope and expectation, both, right? They've got to get it done. The D-line, look, you're going to see a start 4 in the bowl game probably of Rylan Kennedy, Cassius Howell, DJ Hicks, and Albert Regis. So those 4 guys are, you could look at that group and go, okay, that could very well be your starting 4 next year. I would say then who's your depth? Because then you start going through that. It's very, very young and inexperienced. But there are guys that will play more next year that people aren't talking about, like Solomon Thomas and Dalen Evans, among others. But there is no denying the fact that, you need to go and portal veteran depth. And I think that's like what somebody like Jack Pyburn was. He was not likely to be a starter, but you're trying to find veteran depth. They haven't been able to do that yet. And then also, you lost 2 guys that have eyes on the first round and probably won't get out of the second or at worst third, but I think probably second round type guys maybe sneak into the first, and Shamar Stewart and Nick Scorton, Shamar Turner probably go in the top half of the draft. So you're losing that. Not to say the guys behind them can't be that, but it's also this is the SEC. They've got to go get impact guys out of the portal on the defensive line. And I know everybody's looking at guys like a couple of these guys that went to LSU that A&M wanted, and Kelby Collins went back home to Alabama. Those guys are good, but that's not. I think the bigger disappointment that people don't realize is I think there were some guys, some bigger name guys and some more proven dudes that were kind of expected to go in the portal, that the chatter behind the scenes had them not only going in, but also being, having a real strong eye towards Texas A&M, and they never went in. And that's where I think what people don't realize where the actual misses were in terms of those higher end guys. And then even the guy from Auburn that went in and went back. I think A&M had an excellent chance with him, and then Hugh Freeze was able to kind of like chase DeSantis and Tyreek Chappelle and pull him back in from the portal. So those hits are probably harder than the ones people see on the surface. So, yeah, D-line is an absolute priority from here on out. I've been saying there's a couple guys on playoff teams that are likely to go in that will not only get a lot of attention from A&M, but will give A&M a lot of attention as well. Look, there's money to be spent, and there's playing time to be had and starting positions to fight for and believe you can win if you're a portal guy. So it's got everything you need, and it's a defensive head coach. So now the thing is, and do not misinterpret what I'm saying at all. They have got to close some of these guys. It's non-negotiable. But again, let's wait and see who goes in the portal. Let's see who A&M ends up with, because you might look up and go, I'm glad I got this guy instead of that guy, right? Like, I'm glad I've got Brawny, Nuño, and Billy on my D-line, and Hunter. I'm naming names. Then Brandon Jones, Zane, and Dawson and Evangelist. You know, nothing against our crew over there, but I think we might hold up in the trenches a little better than that squad. So let's see who they sign ultimately, because they will fill the need through the portal. The question is, will they fill it with the guys that upgrade your room, and will they fill it with the guys that will help you win games in the SEC this year? Because anything short of that, and they didn't do a good job. But there is a world, without question, where we can look up and go, damn, it's a good thing they didn't get this guy or that guy, because who they ended up with, turns out, is a lot better. So,
got to jump in there, Billy.
Go ahead.
We got to hit a break. We're way, way past it. So I'll talk to you later. Sound good?
What?
Talk to you later.
Delay man. It's a delay, everybody. See you, David.
Goodbye.
Delay, David.
Bye. We'll be back, I think. All right. Got like a minute left. So when we come back on TexAgs Live, we will chit-chat with Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. We'll chit-chat with him about the playoffs. But before that, Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They've got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're committed to treading lightly on the land, and Milliken Reserve is creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community. They've got an awesome network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds and gathering areas, a place for generation after generation just to cherish great moments in the outdoors. They have a wide variety of native species that make their homes there, from the white-tailed deer to the songbirds, to the rabbits, and the turtles. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website, again, is millikenreserve.com. It's Milliken Reserve. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner Schuler's Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3. Let's go straight to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Our buddy Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South joins us. Connor, what up, man?
You know, doing well. I'm going to be honest. Did not think that as we are now hours away from the first ever 12-team playoff game, I did not think my alma mater would be playing in this football game. And spoiler alert for those who don't know, I did not go to Notre Dame. I went to the other school, the school that has 3 bowl victories in its school history of 125 years. So it's a weird day and a weird thing to process. And even when I turn it on and watch it on the TV tonight, I don't think that I'm actually going to process what I'm watching until probably like another 10 years.
What an amazing season. I know people mention schedule and this and that. I mean, I still think it doesn't matter. Like, you're in the biggest tournament, you're in it. And I think, like, Notre Dame's got a lot to prove too. Their best win is A&M, right? Like, by the way, Texas' best win is A&M as well. And not that A&M had that great of a season, but I say that to you, like, this is a great opportunity and what the playoffs should be about.
You know, it should. And let's be honest. Like, I was firmly of the belief that if Indiana lost that game to Ohio State, that it would be sitting on the bubble and have a really good chance to miss out on the 12-team playoff. And then we got some chaos in the last couple of weeks of the season that definitely benefited IU. I will not sit here and pretend that IU had some gauntlet and all people are disrespecting what they did. They did blow out the teams that they were supposed to blow out. And that's the good news for IU. And if they lose tonight by 3 touchdowns against the Notre Dame defense, that, look, I don't have to tell Aggie fans how good that Irish defense is. It's not going to surprise me. So I will sit here as an Indiana grad, always grateful that at least this happened. But yeah, it is kind of what's great about the playoff, and that you can have a year like this, or like what Arizona State's doing. I mean, I think Arizona State is one of the best stories in college football this year. And it kind of goes to show you can have a chance very quickly. And this rebuild stuff that everybody kind of talks about doesn't have to take as long as what some usually like to talk about when they take on a job or something like that. So yeah, I mean, even, A&M sitting there with a chance to get into the college football playoffs, still going into the last week of the regular season, is a reminder that this new format is very different. It's definitely taking some adjusting for those of us on the outside of this.
So how many teams from the 12 that got in you think have a legitimate shot at winning at all? Because there isn't a dominant force this year in college football. Oregon's the closest thing, but I don't know if I put them in that juggernaut just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about it, because I think the odds, the favorites, Oregon was at plus 360, and I think Texas was also plus 360. Not to get into a sensitive subject there, but yeah, I mean, look, it does feel like there are probably 5 teams that can win it all. And I think you have to still include Georgia despite the quarterback situation. I picked Georgia to win it all, even though I'm kind of expecting Gunnar Stockton to be the quarterback for the rest of the playoff. And that's certainly what I think Pete Thamel indicated as well. So I think you kind of look at the field and go, Oregon, all right, yeah, that's a really, really good team, but are they a little bit more vulnerable against the run than we've probably noticed? Do they have still some questions with Dylan Gabriel in some of these big-time games, even though he's been awesome against the really good teams this year specifically? Yeah, I mean, I think you could poke holes with everybody, and that's kind of what makes this field fun. Even though, like, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon are all teams that I think can win it all. I don't think I can get there yet with an Irish team that's 3-23 against the AP top 5 since 1999. But yeah, I mean, I think you can make a case definitely for those 4. And then kind of outside of that, I have a little bit of a tougher time making the case for some of those other teams.
Who do you think has the, I don't want to say easiest path, but maybe the best path to the finals?
It's Texas, man.
I agree.
It's Texas.
Yeah.
Trust me. Like, and I don't have to tell Aggie fans this. Like, yeah, Aggie fans, like, you get it. You watched the way that Selection Sunday played out, and you thought to yourself, wow, Texas, you guys got the easiest path in the SEC during the regular season, and now you're going to get the easiest path in the college football playoff. Texas somehow got an easier path than Oregon. TBD on how that works out, having that extra game, and, we'll see how that plays out against Clemson. Maybe Texas gets an injury or two that all of a sudden you're looking at it going, man, that's why you can't take that for granted of playing that extra game. But the path, man, it's really dialed up well. And to think, all right, you get Arizona State, a team that wasn't necessarily in that top 12 mix. And, you're all of a sudden looking at that matchup going, we should be able to stack up well against them in a place that you just played with Mercedes-Benz as well. I mean, that's kind of another hidden advantage of being able to get that draw that Texas got. They definitely have the most favorable path. Even, who knows what it's going to play out if Oregon and Ohio State get a rematch, and then maybe getting the winner of that. We'll see, but Texas, the way that it lined up, it kind of added to the notion that the 5 seed is a really advantageous spot to land.
Well, I look at Texas, and I've said this for a while, and that Texas fans don't like it, but I think they're as good as advertised, and they've had an easy path. I think both things can be true.
I think so too. I think the defense is phenomenal. I think the defense is really, really good. And look, I mean, the thing that I keep talking about with Texas is, yes, the list of quarterbacks that they've faced, it could be better. Let's call it what it is. They have not faced a murderer's row of quarterbacks, but at the same time, they've allowed 200 passing yards twice this year. Both of those instances, Michigan, Kentucky, quarterbacks got benched that game. I mean, that is how good they have been against the pass and why they have a guy like Jahdae Barron who ends up winning the Jim Thorpe Award over someone like Travis Hunter, and to have Andrew Mukuba in the back end of that defense after transferring over from Clemson. I don't mean to just sit here and to just hype up the horns, but they've been good defensively, and it's allowed them to work through kind of a mediocre year offensively. I mean, Quinn Ewers has not looked right. I think everybody that's watched him have some of these duck throws that have just made you go, man, that's just not the Quinn Ewers that we saw earlier in his career when he had more zip on his fastball. I think you could all, everybody can look at that Texas offense and go, yeah, they have a lot of weaknesses there. And it's not a group that you expect to put up 42 points on a weekly basis. But when you're as good as Texas is on the defensive side of the ball with dudes at every single level, it makes winning 24-10 feel like the most likely outcome.
Would you be shocked if it's Tennessee that gets past both Ohio State and Oregon?
Not shocked, but I think Tennessee's limited. I want to see how healthy Tennessee looks because they had 4 skill players go down in that Vandy game. Brew McCoy leaves with a pregame hamstring injury. Then they have Dante Thornton leave that game after he was doing Randy Moss Thanksgiving things in the first part of that game against Vandy. And then with 2.5 minutes left on the same play, Squirrel White, one of their veteran receivers, and then Dylan Sampson, the SEC Player of the Year, both those guys go down on the same play. Now, Dylan Sampson says he's feeling better than he's ever felt. Reports out of practice, if you follow the Tennessee beat writers, they're saying, Dante Thornton looks like he's going to be good to go. Brew McCoy, Squirrel White kind of off to the side doing their own thing. So I want to see how healthy that group looks, because if they're not healthy, they're not winning those 2 games like that. They're just not. They have a little bit too much in terms of those limitations on the offensive side of the ball that would make you think they're going to be able to go into Columbus and win that football game. They haven't won against an AP top 10 team on the road since 2006. That's what they're trying to do on Saturday night in Columbus. And we'll see if it's a Tennessee takeover. It's still a really tall ask for them against the number 1 scoring defense in all of college football, even though obviously Ohio State's coming off the Michigan game. But I think to ask them to win 2 games like that might be a little bit too difficult for Josh Heupel, who, by the way, is 8-9 in true road games at Tennessee. Let's look at the SMU Penn State game, because I look at Penn State kind of like some of the other conversations we've had. Who have they beat this year, right? But I do like James Franklin a lot. SMU, who have they beat this year? But that offense is a little salty. I'm not a James Franklin guy. I'm not.
Okay.
I could go into a litany of reasons of why I'm not, but the 3-19 against AP top 10 teams during his time at Penn State, with only one of those wins coming outside of the 2016 season. It was the Rose Bowl a couple years ago. Cam Rising gets hurt in that game. That's pretty well documented, the struggles that he's had in the big time games. SMU should still be a favorable matchup. And I don't mean to dismiss what SMU did, because I was one of those people saying SMU absolutely deserves to be in the college football playoff. Do not give me this 9-3 Bama team that lost 2 games to 6-6 teams. SMU deserves to be there. So even if they lose by 28 points on Saturday in Happy Valley, I will still be of the belief that they did not deserve to fall out of the top 12 just because they lost in the ACC championship. But I think it's going to be a really tough task for them to be able to string scoring drives together against that defense. Now, Jennings, the quarterback, is going to be really difficult to bring down. We saw Clemson struggle with him mightily in the second half of that game. And for a Penn State offense that's been not quite as consistent as maybe you thought they were going to be after a really nice start, I do think they could struggle a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be the best win of Penn State's season so far. And then probably get to a quarterfinal and have a really difficult task with Ashton Genty in shutting down the best offensive player in college football. So yeah, we'll see kind of how this plays out, but I don't really have a whole lot of confidence that James Franklin is about to go on a run right now.
We talked the Texas perspective. We didn't talk the Clemson perspective. Clemson's a tough team for me to peg because I don't think they're that good. But I also look at the season like, what a successful year. On the year, you didn't take any transfers, and I know that he's kind of Dabo's changing his stance a little bit on that. But like, I didn't, and Kate Klubnik to kind of rewrite his story as well. If they were to get one more win, I mean, that would be a heck of a season for Dabo, considering the way he was looked at a year ago, right around this time.
No other coach on Saturday has a better opportunity for what I would call the Toby Keith win, the how do you like me now win. That's Dabo. He's got that. That is very much on the table for him on Saturday. If Clemson goes into Texas and wins that football game as a double-digit underdog with, as Dabo himself called it, the Makuba Bowl, with him transferring from Clemson to Texas, that was a huge deal around this time last year because of how established he was at Clemson. And he had some comments I saw in the Greenville News this week where he's like, yeah, I just didn't feel like I was developing. I didn't really feel like the program at Clemson was where it needed to be. If Dabo wins that game, yeah, you kind of do have to point to that and go, wow, all right, this is different than everything we've been saying about Clemson in recent memory. And this would be their best win of the 2020s decade. Like, no question about it, in my opinion, even better than beating Notre Dame in what was the ACC championship during the weird COVID year when Notre Dame still somehow got into the college football playoff. I won't name the team that they beat out to get there. I disagreed with that decision. You know who I'm talking about. But I think that this is a huge opportunity for Clemson because you see the writing on the wall. Everybody is doubting you in this game, and I'm doubting them because in the regular season, they lost to the best teams that they faced. They lost to the three best teams that they faced, and they only got into the college football playoff because they were fortunate enough to be in the ACC. Would be a really tough look for the ACC if their champ went 0-3 against the SEC. That's what happens if Texas wins that football game.
Connor, how do you kind of describe the A&M season this year with so much promise at times, a horrific ending, not just the Texas game, just November in general, losing 3 straight SEC games, losing Le'Veon Moss, who was the anchor of that offense, quarterback issues throughout the year. Connor is not the guy we expected him to be. Marcel looks great at times, but then at times the offense stalled. Just how do you kind of break it down?
Good, not great. Good, not great. Because I think you could spin it in a lot of different ways. That Le'Veon Moss injury was so important early on. When he hits the sideline in that South Carolina game, and you see that play happen on like their first big play of the day after just a disastrous start, you're like, oh man, this is about to get ugly. This is just not going to be A&M's night. I mean, credit Marcel Reed for being able to come back in that game, for being able to come back against Auburn too. And I'm one, like I've said on this show many a time, and I'll say it again, like I was a Connor Wigman believer, and I'm still of the belief that he could have a Haynes King-like second chapter where he ends up being one of those guys that a couple of years from now, maybe it is at where he ended up at Houston, or maybe it's even somewhere else, where we look up and we're like, see, we were right to believe that he was good and that he was someone that you can build an offense around and have some of these moments, just as we were saying in the middle of that Georgia game where Haynes King was doing great things for Georgia Tech. So I do think all those things could be true. And it was a reminder down the stretch that Marcel Reed is still a really young player and he's still figuring things out in the passing game. So I kind of had a little bit of a problem when we watched the broadcast with Fowler and Herbstreit, who are as good as there is in the business, and they're awesome, all right? And I don't want to go down the road of Fowler continuing to say Connor Wegman when it's Connor Wigman. I don't want to go down that road again, but he was doing it again that night. And they're just talking about Marcel Reed like he's going to come in here and be the next Johnny Football for the rest of the season. I'm like, guys, watch what it looks like when teams have a week to prepare for his skill set and not when he comes into a game against a team that's not prepared to face him, which he had benefited from that earlier in the year. I still like the player that he can become. And with an offseason in this offense with Colin Klein, I'm going to be pretty bullish on Marcel Reed. I am. But in season, with the things that he was asked to do to figure out as a redshirt freshman, with learning some of these things in the passing game, yeah, you saw some of those limitations. That's what you're going to risk when you turn to a guy like that. And I thought Mike Elko played the quarterback situation about as well as he could have, considering how back and forth it felt.
Yeah, I agree with that. Were you surprised with the defense that was really good at times, but then at the end of the season, they couldn't get to the quarterback. They couldn't wrap up. They couldn't tackle. Nick Scorton's numbers went down. And I think they're all going to be really nice pros, but it was just weird to see the kind of the defense plateau after, or decline, I should say.
Yeah, that was probably the most disappointing thing. And just in terms of the preseason expectations, I expect that I thought it was going to be far and away the best unit, or the strength of A&M's team is that no matter who they're going to face, you're going to trust that they're going to be able to get to the quarterback. And then you're right, down the stretch. I mean, goodness gracious, that Auburn game especially, you're like, how are these guys not able to be able to pin their ears back and make some plays? And I do think that seeing the way that it played out against Texas too, again, not to go to a sensitive subject, but let's not forget Kelvin Banks, the Lombardi winner, the Outland Trophy winner, the future first-round pick at left tackle for Texas, who's been dominant against all teams, not Georgia. He goes down early in that game, and you're thinking, goodness, this is a prime opportunity for A&M. You've got Quinn Ewers there with a sore ankle here. He's coming off of injury. They're not turning to Arch Manning. They're turning to their more statuesque quarterback, and they can't get to him once. I mean, what do they have? Like one hurry in that game and no sacks with a redshirt freshman at left tackle for Texas. To me, seeing some of those things down the stretch was troubling. And who knows? Maybe we'll find out. They'll go through the medicals for the pre-draft process. We'll find out that Scorton and Stewart and Turner, maybe these guys were playing with more things than we were aware of. But yeah, I do think it's a fair knock of what kind of plagued them down the stretch, a unit that could have been better and maybe prevented that losing streak to finish off SEC play.
I want to do one more A&M thing before I jump to another topic, but Le'Veon Moss expected to come back next year, a healthy Le'Veon Moss. Reuben Owens should be healthy for next year. Okay, so the backfield, and Amari Daniels was excellent for this team. They've upgraded the wide receiver room. You already talked to me about being bullish for Marcel Reed, so just from what it looks like it could be, and they're not done on the portal. The offensive line should be pretty intact as well. What do you think about potentially what this offense could look like next year?
Should be one of the better units in the SEC. And, here's the crazy thing. Like all the things that we just talked about that limited A&M this year, and you're like, all right, who's the alpha in this receiver room? Who's going to be the guy that's going to go up and make plays? It was Noah Thomas at times. Then you're kind of figuring out who it's going to look like game to game. And Barber steps up and he plays well after he returns from injury. But Michael Casagrande threw this stat out, and it blew me away. And I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm sure you guys have talked about it in your airwaves. So I apologize for repeating this stat. But A&M led the SEC in points per game in conference play.
Yeah.
All those things. Now, it wasn't 42 points per game like it's been in years past, but that's a really positive sign moving forward. Some of that is because of the way that it played out, in the Auburn game. And obviously that ends up, being a game which they're able to tack on points and stuff down the stretch. But still, like a game in which the A&M offense didn't score a point in that Texas game, and they still had those issues at times in the passing game with Marcel Reed. So I look at that foundation. I think that's really promising. There's no way it shouldn't be one of the 4 or 5 best offenses in the conference next year. We'll see what it looks like with the rest of this portal window, how many pieces they continue to add, how much continuity they have on the offensive line, something that's really important in this day and age of college football. And we'll see what it looks like, by the end of spring. That's going to give us a better idea, but it should be one of the better units, and it should be a true strength that A&M should be able to build on next year.
All right, and then let's close out with bowl talk. A&M is playing in the Las Vegas Bowl. Just from a bowls don't matter, bowls are fun kind of perspective, how do you look at that matchup overall with the way the college football playoffs have expanded, and then obviously all the drama happening with USC and Lincoln Riley?
I think it matters for A&M. It matters to get to 9 wins. It matters to finish in the top 25, to do those things in your first year, because you want to get some of that bad taste out of your mouth too. You want to be able to win a matchup like that against a high profile program, albeit one that's got a lot of issues right now. And I mean, goodness gracious, I'm going to have to go through the depth chart, be like, oh yeah, Miller Moss isn't playing in this game. Oh yeah, Zachariah Branch isn't playing in this game. Barry Alexander isn't playing in this game for USC. Like it's going to be a favorable matchup, one would think, for A&M, even if they lose a couple more guys in the portal, which is just kind of standard protocol, no matter who you are at this stage of the game. So I do think it's important for A&M and get some of that offseason momentum to where you just have guys that feel good down the stretch. Like there's just something to be said for that in college football, of being able to not have like, oh, we just went a month and a half without a victory or something like that. And instead, get to that 9th win, put some good film out there for Marcel Reed. Feel good about who your team is, about who your head coach is, because I do think there were more positives than negatives for this A&M team. An A&M team that I predicted coming into the year. I think I said 7-5 was my prediction. I think I said 8-4 was the upside. That was best case scenario for this team. And that was, of course, just in the regular season. So I do think it matters for A&M. Go out west, go win a game that would make you just feel better as a program and make you feel like you have your offensive identity established and you feel like you can build some of that offseason momentum.
Connor, great stuff, man. Thanks for your time, brother. We'll talk soon, all right?
Anytime, man. Appreciate it.
See you, bud. Connor O'Gara on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland and Kay Naegeli. After that, Chris Doering will be joining the program. Right now, let's talk Rollo Insurance. You're good at what you do. They're good at what they do. They're great at what they do. No doubt about that. And my family has been using them since we moved to the Brazos Valley. They were one of the first calls, one of my first meetings here in town when I was moving here, getting to know a bunch of the clients here at TexAgs. I went and met with Jason and Jackson Rollo, and we became buds from the beginning. They're awesome at what they do. Homeowners insurance, car owner insurance, you name it, farmers, ranchers, business owners, they will take great care of you. They've been doing it for a long, long time. You can learn more at rolloinsurance.com. That website, again, is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Do that one because there's a whole video presentation there. You'll love it. rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs and start a conversation with your personal agent today. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, we have the great Kay Naegeli.
David Nuño is very excited about his trip to Las Vegas.
I am. I wasn't initially, but I am now.
Yeah. You going to do a little gambling, or is that not your style?
No.
Not your style?
No, it's, I mean, will I play a slots? Maybe I'll play blackjack once. I don't know. I don't think so. The last couple times I've been to Vegas, I have not. And I know that makes me not, what's the word that somebody used with me recently? I'm not relatable sometimes. I get it. Like, I don't gamble. I don't drink alcohol. Like, I go to bed early and apparently I eat broccoli on my pizza. But I am looking forward to finishing the season with a win, right? And having something to like again. Because I remember how, you were in the press box with me, how happy I get when Aggie football looks good and how miserable I am when Aggie football doesn't.
Go way up or they go way down.
Within seconds.
And that's okay. Sometimes moods are determined by the results of football games.
But we live this, right? That's why people listen to TexAgs. That's why we work at TexAgs, because we care so much. It hurts when they don't look good. And I think we're going to slap USC into oblivion, which means if they don't, someone's going to remind me of how wrong I was, because that's what they do.
You're going to cook them like brisket. That's what you got to roll.
And queso mac and cheese.
Yes. All right, let's move into some football news. Speaking of being your mood weighing one way or another, a lot of transfer portal news happening, and people on our site just go one way or they go the other. But A&M has 6 total additions so far. Just this week, they added Mississippi State wide receiver Mario Craver and Nebraska tight end Nate Borkircher is his name. Again, like I said, bringing that total to 6, along with Micah Riley, Julian Humphrey, Jacob Zeno, Micah Hudson, some great additions to the program there. Moving over to the men's basketball front, they are winners of 5 straight, and they host Houston Christian today at 1 p.m. They are one of 4 programs in the country with 5 combined quadrant 1 or 2 wins. That is one of the most impressive non-conference resumes in college basketball. So hopefully they keep it rolling, as they have 2 more non-conference games remaining. On the women's basketball front, Joni Taylor said during the last game before Christmas, she wanted her team to stay focused. She wanted them to feel good about where they were heading into conference play, and she wanted them to be healthy. She checked all those boxes. You could say she was checking off the lists right before Christmas and Thursday's 96-54 beatdown of Mississippi Valley State. They will open conference play against Tennessee. They are undefeated, 9-0. They have been rolling recently, ranked number 18 in the country. That will be on January 2nd, so best of luck to that program. Additionally, on the vault, we have a lot of transfer additions outside of football. For those who do not know, Jamie Morrison has been active in the portal. He got his first get of former Baylor outside Kendall Stowers. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Vandy tight end and former A&M quarterback Eli Stowers is her brother. So this is kind of an interesting story. She was removed from the Baylor volleyball roster due to decisions made by higher-ups about having too many concussions when she was playing. For those unfamiliar, concussions are quite common in volleyball. You can just slam into walls or slam into different people and collisions happen. So that led her to involuntarily medical retire. She could not play anymore. Yet she went to multiple doctors after her stint at Baylor, and she was told she could continue her volleyball career, went in the portal, and Jamie Morrison and company just got her. Out of high school, she was the number 16 recruit ranked nationally by prepvolleyball.com and the number 1 player out of Texas. At Baylor, she was named preseason Big 12 Freshman of the Year, so she was expected to do some big stuff, only played in 14 matches, 12 of which she had double-digit kills. So really efficient when she was playing there. Additionally, softball got an ad out of the transfer portal. Ariel Kalawuski announced she's transferring to A&M. She played 53 games at Baylor at third base. She also has an interesting story. So she properly entered the winter portal window for softball, but since she committed so late, mid-year in-conference transfers have to sit out a year. She can dispute that, but nonetheless, she does have 3 years of eligibility, so that's a great piece for the program. So lots of transfer portal news happening.
Great stuff, KK. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to hit a break. We'll come back with Chris Doering of the SEC Network to chat about things happening with Florida, things happening with A&M, and more into this college football playoffs this weekend. Lewis Engineering, a machine shop located in Marshall, Texas. They want to become your premier metal fabrication supplier. They've been around since 1961. That's when Doug Lewis's great-grandfather started the company, and they started supplying the Defense Department, Aerospace Department, automotive departments, oil field industries, and quality metal components been given to all. Doug Lewis is class of 2004, great guy. I've spoken to him on the phone a couple different times. Fourth generation to own and operate Lewis Engineering, and they're going to take care of you quickly. And they want to make sure that you know that it's going to be the most quality service out there, and they take their on-time delivery seriously. They specialize in high-volume production as well as close-to-tolerance projects. They invite you to outsource machining to a company that many Fortune 500 companies have trusted for the last 63 years. If you want more information, call Doug up at 903-938-6754. That is 903-938-6754, or visit them online at lewisengineeringco.com. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go straight to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Always the most accommodating, nice guy out there. Chris Doering joining us here from the SEC Network, Florida alum, NFL guy. What's up, Chris? How you been, bud?
I'm good, David. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate you saying that, too. It's a busy day for me. Just got done with your boy Peter Burns over on SEC this morning and about to head to the airport, man. I've never been to Columbus, Ohio, but I'm getting my first taste of the Horseshoe this weekend as we do some shows tonight and tomorrow for the lead up to Tennessee and Ohio State. So I had to go buy, as a Florida boy, I had to go buy a new coat, gloves, the whole it's supposed to be in like the teens and 20s. I'm not built for that stuff, Dave.
I'm not built for that either. And I'm glad you started with that game because, like, am I being an SEC homer here? Or, I think Tennessee's going to win this game. And I don't know if convincingly is the right word because I know their injury situations. I understand the weather is going to play a factor, even though Tennessee gets snow. I just think Tennessee's a better team.
I agree with you. And I also, I don't think the weather is as big a deal as people are making it out to be. Obviously, Knoxville is one of the more northern cities in the footprint of the SEC. But also, like, this team is not like the Tennessee teams in years past. It's not like a typical Josh Heupel offense. I mean, they're much more built around running the football and playing great defense. And I think you look at certain matchups, they just favor Tennessee, particularly the offensive line for Ohio State, one that's had to shuffle a lot because of injuries this year, 19 different combinations up front throughout the season. They'll go up against one of the best front sevens in the entire country. So I honestly believe that this is a game that Tennessee should probably be favored in. Hard to believe they're a 7-point underdog. I just can't get out of my mind, David, that lasting memory of the last time they played in the Horseshoe against Michigan, watching Michigan without any sort of threat of the pass game at all, just run the ball right down their throat the second half, nothing they could do about it. And then Will Howard just being just kind of a mess there and the inability to throw the football. So I'm with you. I think Tennessee wins this game, and I think they win it by 10 points.
How about the other orange teams, I should say, Clemson and Texas in Austin? Texas, I've given them the props that they deserve. They're legit. I question some of their wins this year because their best win has been A&M and I guess Vandy. That being said, they're stacked defensively. Offense have had some issues. Clemson, I'm not really a believer in, but I like Dabo's story. I like the situation he's in. Just how do you see this one?
I think there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day and Ohio State to start fast after what happened last week. I also think there's a lot of pressure on Quinn Ewers and that offense for Texas to start fast. Like if things come out and they slog around a little bit and Quinn's throwing the ball inaccurately, you know that crowd's going to be antsy to see Arch Manning, and you hate to have your crowd kind of turn against you. So I think it's really important for them to come out and be efficient early on. I also think there's a decent amount of pressure on Cade Klubnik returning to his home city. I can tell you my first time back into Florida when I was playing in the NFL, all the ticket requests, all the family and friends you feel like you got to see, all the pressure you put on yourself. So I think while I don't think there's any pressure at all on Clemson, I think they're playing with house money. I do think Cade Klubnik probably feels a little bit of it. But I think the roster differential is just so significant between Texas and Clemson. I don't know that there's anybody in the country that has more talent at the skill positions around the quarterback than Texas does. And I think the offensive line, while they were taken advantage of by Georgia in the two games they played, Clemson's defensive line is not made like Georgia's is. So I think this is another double-digit win for the SEC team.
How about the biggest underdog to win this weekend? Who do you think that is? Of all the underdogs that have a chance, who do you think has the best chance to win?
God, Dave, we just talked about this a little bit. With as wild as the regular season was, you have to believe that there's going to be some upsets. But I honestly believe that there's probably going to be a lot of chalk as this thing plays out. I think we end up seeing Oregon and Georgia play, even though Carson Beck's probably going to miss the entire playoff. I do think those two teams end up meeting for the national championship. But I think probably if you ask me biggest upset, I think it's probably Tennessee. I don't know that SMU goes up and wins in Happy Valley. And Indiana may be the most unproven team of anybody in this tournament. So I think Notre Dame probably wins that game as well.
Hey, I want to ask you about Florida because I was thinking about this earlier today. If A&M were to lose their bowl game to USC and Florida wins their bowl game, is it today? It's today, right? Maybe it's
today, 3:30.
Yeah. They'll both be 8-5. And there was a point in the season where I saw A&M like this and Florida like this. I think A&M is going to beat USC. That's a different conversation. But just I guess I'm speaking to the fact of what Billy Napier did, because they tried to fire him 19 times this season, it felt like. And then all of a sudden, he got the quarterback situation figured out, and they started playing great.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned, Texas A&M and Florida in that same breath, because after the Texas A&M game, fans were ready to have Billy Napier hit the road. It wasn't just the losses to Miami and Texas A&M. It was the manner in which Florida lost. They were pushed around on the lines of scrimmage. You remember that drive. What did Texas A&M go, like 99 yards and didn't throw the football one time on that drive, I think? So that's just emasculating when a team is able to push you around on the line like that. And you talked about DJ Lagway and his impact on the team. But I can't explain how they went from having these deficiencies on the offensive and defensive lines and turned them into strengths. Even when DJ Lagway was hurt, they still were able to run the ball late against Georgia, still ran the ball very well down the last month of the season. The defensive line became aggressive and penetrating and disruptive. I don't know where all of that came from, but it did seem like after A&M that the team took a little bit more ownership and they got some traction. And you're seeing a bowl game that I think the bowl game for A&M and the bowl game for Florida means an awful lot. In a day and age where if you're not playing in the college football playoff, people would say it doesn't mean that much. I think bowl games can serve as a celebration of the season you've had. And I think it can also serve as a springboard for next year. And I think for Mike Elko in his first season, it's big time important that they have a win in this game against USC to get that momentum going into next season. And I think for Florida, the momentum they've already created, they haven't won a bowl game since 2019. This is one that they need to have. And I think against a shorthanded Tulane team, I think Florida probably gets the dub. One
other thing on Florida, which I find interesting, is that I think the arrow's pointing up, but they have the exact same schedule next year, just flipped. So what would be considered success next year?
Yeah, I honestly, heading into the season this year, Florida was projected by Vegas to win 4.5 games. I thought they were a 7-win team. And then after that second loss of the season to Texas A&M, I thought they were probably a 3-win team at that point. But somehow you said it. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen a more remarkable turnaround in season. And I know you name Clark Lee and you can name probably Sark and Kirby and you can name Shane Beamer as coaches of the year candidates. But I thought Billy Napier was in that same conversation with the job that he did to keep that locker room together and get them all pushing in the same direction. So I think next year the expectation goes up. And there's a lot of Florida fans that are already talking about being a playoff team next year. I don't know if they can make that big of a jump, but if you look at all the players that are already participating in the bowl game, that are planning on coming back, that have made that announcement, and the recruiting class that Florida put together, I think they could win. I think they could be an 8 or 9 win regular season team. And I think that would feel probably like a win with the right wins being picked up.
As for A&M, disappointing end of the season, but do you feel like even though November happened and November was terrible, they're headed in the right direction, Chris?
I do. I mean, I think it starts with having the right guy. And I certainly think Mike Elko is the right guy to lead that program. His ability to come in and get everybody to buy in immediately was remarkable. I think they're still continuing to build who they want to be from an identity standpoint. Defensively, they're always going to be tough up front on the defensive line. When you lose Moss, I mean, he was kind of the physical presence on that offense that they didn't have once he went down with the injury. So that hurt them. But I think getting Marcel Reed back, having him play in the bowl game, I think another one of those things where you can use that to serve for next year as the starting point to build upon for 2025.
Chris, I appreciate it, man. Merry Christmas. Enjoy Columbus, and we'll talk soon, all right?
Sounds good, man. Merry Christmas to you guys, too. Thanks for having me.
See you, brother. Chris Doering there on the Boss Firearms Hotline, one of the best dudes out there. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with a final segment. Got some basketball thoughts and maybe get to some text messages as well. Bird Dog at Aggie company operated creating access to hunting opportunities. I did that first hunt in, I guess it was early November. And maybe it's my fault A&M lost those games because I went on that bye-week hunt. But regardless, we went to this awesome ranch, and we had such a good time. Brady, Texas. It was a great time. A fellowship, met some awesome subscribers and listeners of the show, and we just had a good old time with our duck hunting. It was awesome. Quail hunting. We had such a great time, but Bird Dog set it all up for us. They got us the 5-star ranch. They got us the personal chef. They got us the concert. It was awesome. Roger Craig performed for us. That was our experience. But there's many other experiences that they can do for you. They want to elevate your experience. They want to find the right hunt for you. They want to put you in the right environment. That's what Bird Dog does, and they are awesome at doing it. They can do range consulting for the landowners and help you get more money for your land. The website is birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Check it out. We're back on TexAgs Live. Duck Camp, love the gear. You should too. They fit good. They feel good. They look good. That's all the reasons for it. You can go hunting with it. You can go fishing with it. You'll really love how it looks in pictures and just being out and about, how comfortable it is. You can wear it to the gym. You can wear it out. It's that kind of gear. Duck Camp gear ranges from their new sun protection line to the technical hunting side to fishing apparel to your fan favorite Mallard Game Series hats. They've been tested in the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas. They'll keep you cool and comfortable on those scorcher game days. Right now it's cold. You can wear them in the cold as well. Duck Camp gear is made for people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, a time to kill, and football to watch. Check it out at duckcamp.com. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Garner has got some text messages for us.
Yeah, we have a text from David in the Pacific Northwest, and he says, if I recall correctly, the most teams a single conference got in the tournament was 11, and it was the Big East before 2013.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think, I'm going to look back online, it was Joe Lunardi has right now 13 SEC teams in his bracketology. Okay, 13 teams. Will they get that many? Who knows? But I think they're on path to at least get 11. If you look at the teams that are on there. So they went 14-2, the SEC did, against the ACC and the SEC-ACC Challenge, right? So that's pretty dominant. Of the 16 teams in the league, so everybody's got 2 losses and one's got 3. South Carolina. So everybody's got the most amount of losses in the conference is South Carolina with 3 losses, right? Everybody else is down to 2 losses. Some other numbers from there. There's 3 of the 5 remaining undefeated teams reside in the SEC. Tennessee's 11-0. Florida's 11-0. Oklahoma's 10-0, and A&M's going to play them pretty soon. Utah State and Drake are the other undefeated teams. So that just kind of gives you a feel for where they're at right now. SEC teams have won 88% of their games this season. Only 9 ACC teams have had a better non-conference winning percentage in games before New Year's Day, which was 88.2. So that just kind of gives you a feel for where the SEC is as a league. And when we talk about Texas A&M, when we talk about where they are this year and how good they are, remember, they are 9-2 with one of the most difficult schedules we've seen in the SEC in all of college basketball. They've taken on all comers. Now, we will see if those teams turn out to be what we think they are, right? We still got to see what Oregon turns out to be, one of the losses this year. We got to see what they all turn into. Purdue, like we think Purdue's going to be really good, but are they Final Four Purdue-ish? You know, if they are, you know, Texas Tech, all those wins are going to matter. So when you take a look at the league overall, and it doesn't get easier for A&M, right? Like you've got this SEC schedule that's coming against all these teams that are ranked, and a lot of them ranked ahead of you. It's going to be tough sledding, no doubt. That being said, the league overall has never been better from a basketball perspective. They need to have success in the postseason. That's one area that the SEC has struggled in March the last couple of years. They've got to get teams to go deep and win it all. They've got to get an SEC team to do that. If you believe Tennessee can do it, who seems to replenish every year, there's a lot of teams that absolutely have a chance. But that's how crowded and crazy it is this year in the SEC. Callie, anything else?
Well, I was looking at just the bracketology and what Joe Lunardi has right now. He has 3 of the 4 overall number 1 seeds are all SEC teams, which come conference play, that will probably shift around quite a bit. But I mean, he's got Tennessee at number 1, Auburn at number 1, Kentucky at number 1, which the Aggies have to go to Rupp Arena this year, which everyone knows is a really tough place to play. We host Tennessee. We host Auburn. So our schedule is pretty favorable when it comes to the teams we're playing, but it's just going to be a total gauntlet when it comes to the SEC. And he's got so many SEC teams in his bracketology, and then even 2 in the right on the bubble, LSU and Vanderbilt. So it's tough.
By the way, I watched the movie last night. Have you seen Carry On?
You watched it?
I didn't like it.
What?
I thought it was stupid. Did you love it?
We liked it.
Yeah. I think a lot of my kids liked it. I was just like, come on, this is a bit much for me.
Well, okay, I will say it's pretty predictable.
It's ridiculous. And I love action, right? There's good action in it. Jason Bateman is really good as a bad guy. I didn't think he would be really good he was really good as a bad guy. Taron Egerton, whatever his name is, I usually like him.
What didn't you like about it, besides it being predictable?
I can't tell it. I'll give you some ideas. Sneaking onto a plane, to me, is a bit much.
It's a movie.
Yeah, Batman's more believable. Superman, the trailer came out, way more believable. I think Superman can happen before what I saw in Carry On. How
many movies nowadays that come out on Netflix can you sit and watch with your family of 6 and enjoy? And it
was a nice family evening, but if I was grading the movie experience, it left a lot to be be
maybe
it's not the Equalizer with Denzel Washington. It's not that level of greatness.
Camera wasn't on me, but I rolled my eyes at that.
What's the other one that I love? All those kind of movies. It was not that level. It wasn't John Wick. It was, All right, we got to go. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on Monday.